Hello everyone, can you all hear me? Hi chat, hi chat. Everything looks clear. Alright, I guess without further ado, welcome to Theothon. It is a charity marathon dedicated to our late friend Theo, who sadly passed away in July. It's been absolutely hectic getting everything kind of put together, but here we are, and I'm so happy to see so many people actually coming in to support. It's actually lovely seeing you all, and we have a very interesting set of runs coming up today. And I actually have a friend with me now. Just let me get him on the audio side. 2 seconds. Hello, TikTak.
Hello. Hopefully everyone can hear me, and yeah, I'm happy to be here. It's a great cause, and I guess we can start right up, right?
Yeah, so just give me a couple of seconds, stop the music, and then we're gonna move on to the run. Oh, look at that scene. Isn't it cute? So before we get into the run, do you just want to, like, introduce yourself as a runner, I guess?
Yeah, sure. So I'm TikTak. I'm one of the admins of the Team ICO server, and obviously, just as much as everyone else, I was quite shocked and hit quite hard by the announcement of Theo's passing. And I'm glad we were able to make this marathon happen for a great cause. Not gonna lie, strokes are a thing in my family as well, which is just a horrible thing that can really hit everyone. So if we as a community can come together and, make good things happen, and while doing so enjoy the time we are running, I'm sure Theo would have liked that one as well. As for the category, I'm starting out with Shadow of the Colossus, Boss Rush, both difficulties. And yeah, I guess I'm ready to start whenever you are.
I'll give you a countdown. So, run starting in 3, 2, 1, and go.
Nice. So, Boss Rush, I personally am always a little bit, concerned when it comes to marathon runs, just because it's such a hectic category, and we're starting out with Valis already, where the whole strategy here is to bypass the climbing onto the back by just running during this cutscene. And if I did everything correctly, I should already be on the head. Many of you will probably know this run, but for those who don't, it's a lot of physics manipulation and little adjustments to stabbing, which will make this run a lot faster. And while talking, Valis is already done.
Very nice, and to everyone as well, there is going to be a 15-ish second delay between what you're going to be seeing on screen and what we're going to be saying and what the timer is also saying, so just keep that in mind for so I guess that you might want to call it desync, but unfortunately it's the setup we're working with right now. And yeah, Valis is down pretty quick. It's actually pretty solid as well.
Yeah, 28 seconds is fine.
Yeah.
Could have been a little bit faster, but I shook around a little bit there.
Yeah, to be honest, like, sub 30 seconds in Boss Rush normal is like a fine time.
Yeah. I guess since there's a delay, maybe it's better if you commentate on that, since you have less delay than I do.
Yeah, I'll be watching through the restream, so we're all Gucci. So next up's gonna be normal mode Quadratus. So any percent's kind of different. So NTA, we're gonna be doing a slightly like harder thing. So casually, you'd wait for him to do an attack, shoot at his hoof, then he'll fall down in pain, and then you kind of climb on him, traverse his body. But if you kind of time a bunch of rolls and movement right, you can actually shoot an arrow as he's lifting his foot on the ground. Perfect stuff. You can do something called jump here, using some physics in the sand. Beautiful stuff, my guy.
Yep, and the jump is fairly specific and precise, especially with the execution I went for here with the early arrow.
Yeah, like if you're too far forward in jump, the sheer size of Quadratus, like, falling down onto the floor will actually, like, shake you and can do damage to you as well. Oh, nice jump onto the head as well. So So because he did up jump, he has no need to get like a plant that you usually get like between his horn and corner. That was a solid quad.
Yep, this was pretty much as good as I wanted to be during the runs.
Yeah, NTA is one of those things where it's like the Colossus fights are so quick that it's quite hard to commentate over it as well.
Yeah. Big shout out to Aiden, by the way, who found this strat. That guy is a genius.
Yeah, Aiden's actually in his chat right now, so GG Aiden on finding this trap.
So next up is a guy who many of you know with one of the more, well-known strats. The guy on the cover, and I guess I'll let Uso talk about it while I try to set this up because I want to get this first try.
Yes, of course. So Gaius was on the cover of the PS2 remake, remaster, whatever you want to call it, and it features the most famous trick in the entire run, where you use the momentum of his sword coming out the ground to fly all the way to his head. It's also another one of the very specific strats, probably one of the hardest strats in the entire game to learn. So what he's going to do is he's going to shoot some arrows at Gaius' belly in order to try and get some chip damage on a sigil so that he doesn't have to stab for as long. There we go. So sword's going to come down. So he's going to wait for a very specific part in the lift-off animation. So he's going to time a quick jump, a medium jump, and then a full jump. Hold forward and tap L1. And there we go. Beautiful stuff.
Yeah, it's always great to get this trick first try because it's definitely one of those that can easily be messed up.
What you're going to see here as well is Gaius is going to be doing a shake that he would do as he pulls out the sword. And that's going to allow you to get a plant in. So a plant is when you're in a position on the Colossus and you cannot be shaken pretty much no matter what. So right behind Gaius' head, you're actually stabbing kind of into the sigil from a horizontal line almost. And that is the plant. Unfortunately, Gaius' plant is actually like supersized. Oh, poop.
Yeah, that's what I get for trying the cooler strats, but I think I can make this happen anyway. As long as I trigger this animation, I should be all good.
So luckily there is a backup if he triggers the correct animation of Gaius shaking his sword. But of course he's gonna sometimes do walking animations. So Gaius needs to be tricked into thinking, I have to shake my sword. Because then you can do another momentum jump to his waistline. So hopefully he's gonna pause right here. There you go, he looks good. There we go, perfect recovery.
Yeah, considering everything, that was a good backup.
Yeah. And we actually got to show off both the strats as well, to head and to waist. So
yeah,
waist launch is usually like a more user-friendly strat, which more beginners like myself tend to do. So yeah, it's actually a really good Gaius. Huh, nice.
Yeah, what I tried to do there was the front drop, which we started incorporating into the boss rush as of recently.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you mistime that jump just a little bit, things like that can happen. It is a crazy category where every little thing can kill the run right away.
Yeah.
But for a marathon like that, it's obviously more about showing off the strats, so it's a cool thing. So for Phaedra, the next one, I'll also be trying a more advanced strategy that will hopefully work, which is the Phaedra launch. One of those physics side jump tricks, which in this case is probably the hardest one of the three that we will see in this run. So let me focus just a little bit.
Right, so what we're going to do on Phaedra is going to get onto aggro here. And he's going to jump onto her leg. Usually you go through a set of tunnels. He's going to try and side jump at a very specific time, get a perfect boost. Very nice. What's the timing window on that, by the way?
Oh god, it's very small. A bit more on 60 FPS, but still, it's easy to miss.
Like a tenth of a second?
Yeah, it's definitely less than a second. Maybe even less than half a second.
Yeah. It's a very precise trick, so it's very impressive getting it done first try. So yeah, Phaedra is usually a very long Colossus to fight, but TikTak made it look very easy. You can do different strats as well, using the back leg to get like a boost up to her hip, but getting that 60 FPS launch that you can also do in 30, very, very smooth, and it's a perfect Phaedra. Shakeless, lovely.
The thing is, with that setup I did just now, it's actually also fairly consistent on 30 FPS. The timing itself is just a little bit more precise.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's actually a blessing with that little repositioning.
Yeah, there's a few differences between 30 and 60. So 30 FPS is specific to base PlayStation 4, whereas 60 FPS you can do on PlayStation 4 Pro and PS5. And it basically only really impacts a few tricks. Like you can pretty much do every trick apart from super jump. Super jumps 30 FPS only, but side jumps act in a very different manner in 60 FPS, which can make them sometimes easier or harder depending on the Colossus you're on. And also, are we good if we have a quick donation?
Yeah, of course.
Right, I have 20 euros from Pasta Nachos. Thank you so much, buddy. And don't forget, we are raising money for the Fight the Stroke Foundation. So Fight the Stroke specifically is a charity that helps children, young people, survivors of strokes, and also cerebral palsy. And they offer a wide range of both online and in-person sessions to help through develop motor skills and help and support families. Yeah. Yeah, so it's a very, very wonderful cause that everyone's will be donating to. And it also enters you into the prize raffle as well, which we'll get into just after Avion.
Yeah, since I'm setting up here for a wing drop, which will speak for itself if I land it. So, just a moment. I'm not gonna spoil since I'm ahead, but you will see.
Moving the camera to get a minute. Oh, gorgeous. Yeah, it's very specific that you move the camera during that wing drop so that you can actually jump onto Avion on the right way.
Yeah, and as scary as that looks, this is actually the easier of the two animations that you can get on Avion, at least for me. With the other one, the technique varies a little bit, but is less consistent for me personally, and this one is always very satisfying to watch.
There we go. Beautiful stuff. Right, so you mind if I'm just going to read some donation comments? So, Pastor Nacho said, while it's been quite a while since I last played Shadow of Colossus, I can already tell that these bosses are going down faster than I could ever get them to back in the day. Hats off to TikTak. And then we also have a 15 euro donation by the angriest owl. I'm so sorry. Oh, my goodness. No comment, but thank you so much for your generosity.
Yeah, definitely keep them coming. I don't know, we haven't really talked about donation incentives or whatever.
Oh yeah, so there's a prize that you can win that's going to be flashing up every once in a while, where if you donate 15 euros or more, you have a chance to win a Shadow of Colossus sigil keyring. It is a solid little metal keyring. I have it in my drawer right here. You can just... It's very, very cool. That's me smacking it against my desk to prove how cool it is. So this is Barber up here. So Barber, usually go to the end of the arena to kind of like trick him into leaning down and grabbing on his beard. But if you just grab onto his wristband, and then let go and run up, you should be able to get a jump straight onto him using momentum, and there we go.
Yeah, depending on where I land on the back, I might try for a little bit of an advanced strategy that we started incorporating.
Oh no, not the swag.
See?
The swag hurts.
You know. It's one of those things that is quite cool to watch if it works.
Oh, he's gonna shake. Oh.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I can pull it off here, so never mind. It's quite specific in the setup you need, and if you don't quite get it, it's more difficult, so I'm just gonna stab it the usual way. And a slash, just for the extra swag, otherwise.
So you may be wondering, like, oh, the sigil's over there. How is TikTak able to damage the sigil so far away from it? Well, on some of the Colossi, the damage radius, or hitbox on the sigil, spreads, farther than the sigil itself. So you saw it on Avion, and you're gonna see it you saw it on Barber as well, so it's super handy. Why is Barber all the way over there?
That's because...
Why is he running?
Basically, if you're not on the Colossus when the Colossus dies, it just teleports to a preset location. And since I finished this Colossus off with a slash, technically Wander was in the air and not on Barber's back, and that led Barber to teleport, which is a neat little thing that can happen sometimes.
Cool. Nice to show it off. And then we also have the Eels Badman, a Hydra skip, which is one of the most advanced and hardest strats you can do in the entire run.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it is consistent and it works until it doesn't, and then you have to go for hours trying to figure out what exactly you're doing wrong. So hopefully that won't happen here. In boss rush, it's usually a little bit easier than on any percent.
Yeah.
So
what you
let's...
do with Hydrus is you do a certain amount of swims before a certain time so that she can spot you straight away. So once she spots you, at the apex of her swimming up to the water, you do a jump stab, and she's gonna cock her head. And if you jump, hold, there you go. TikTak's gonna get a certain kind of AI manip, which stops Hydrus going back down into the water. Now, if you do those jumps on Hydrus' side wrong, she will go back down into the water. Beautiful stuff, my guy.
Yeah, and the cool thing about this one as well is this is one of the few instances where jump stabbing the Sigil is a lot faster, because the jump stab animation is cancelled in the water. So another little cool strategy to show off. And the sub 40 Hydrus is always quite nice.
And you're going to see Hydrus being a bit more of a scary boss in HTA as well. Hydrus and everything in HTA is going to do a lot more damage in NTA. So, that's a whole lot of old boys.
Yeah, when it comes to trying for world record, NTA is a lot scarier than HTA just because it's a lot more optimized. But in a marathon setting like that, the NTA is basically the warm-up for the HTA later. Since, you know, an average NTA run is always going to look better than an average HTA run.
Awesome. And Kurumori is very easy. You just have to kill her in one cycle. So NTA, Kuro is pretty much easy. You get her attention by whistling and then you just kind of stab her over using cycle stabs. But during Kuro, because she's nice and easy to do, I'm actually going to read out a couple of quick donations. I have a €25 anonymous donation, no comment, thank you so much for your generosity. And then we also have a €100 donation from Greenie the Goblin. TikTak is legendary. I'm still a new runner and I don't think I'll ever reach this level, but it's so cool following the legends live. Fight the stroke. Thank you so much, Greenie and Anonymous. I'm not
Thank you, Greenie.
Amazing, and we've nearly reached our goal. Usually it just, like, should go up automatically, but if we can smash our goal, that would be absolutely fantastic.
I mean, at this pace, maybe we can even go further, way further.
€1,000?
It's like one of those things where we never actually did, like, charity marathon on the Team ICO Speedruns, so we weren't quite sure what to expect. And set our expectations low. But, you know, if we hit it, let's double it. If you double it, let's quadruple it. Step by step.
Honestly, the more money we can raise to save the lives of children and help them go through rehabilitation for surviving strokes and cerebral palsy, the better.
Awesome stuff. And now, coming up is Bassaran.
Bassy boy.
Another one with those strategies that involve side jumps and physics. And hopefully I can do a little bit extra by jump stabbing the head directly as well.
So I'm going to go over what TikTak's going to be doing. So TikTak's going to be waiting out Bassaran a bit. Bassaran's very patient, he's going to sit in its cave. So TikTak's going to wait a couple seconds, go on to aggro, jump start. And he's going to go onto Bassaran's leg. Bassaran's going to do an animation, he's going to let go regrab, and then do an instant side jump. Or, see, this is what happens on 60 FPS, where 60 FPS launches, the game will want to launch you a lot further than you really should be, which is nowhere near as big as a problem on 30. So that's the one downside of running on 60. You have to retime your jumps pretty badly. So he's going to re-grab again.
Specifically here, I wanted to do the instant jump step where you have to go for this risky one. But the problem is if you don't manage the timing of the jump step well, you just fly over it. So, not perfect. It's one of those colossi that once you get more and more optimized with the stabbing and stuff, it can be quite a difficult one.
It's just the 60 FPS thing.
Yeah, the second try was alright. Yeah. Not perfect, but a 42 is nothing to complain about.
Considering you're saving, like, minutes from the intended strat, like, luring Bass over to, like, the geysers and stuff, it's like... bueno.
Yep. And I think so far this is my first reset, so... This is actually a very good, you know, quota of resets so far, I guess.
Yeah, fantastic run so far. So, whilst that happens, I'm going to read out a couple more donations. Already on 205 euros for the Fight the Stroke Foundation, not Raise the Stroke Foundation. Woohoo! Alright, so we have €3, 59, 50, English is hard. Let's go TikTak. Best of luck to everyone running for Theothon. Thank you so much, Frike. We have €20 from Coldmail750. Rest in peace, Theo. It was a pleasure to call you a friend. Best of luck to the runners. Hope the campaign meets its goal. Thank you so much for your generosity. So, before we read some more, this is Dirge. Dirge is a meanie. Dirge is a meanie.
Yeah, but also a sweetie sometimes.
Yeah.
It's a cute fight that involves a precise stab. Because the idea here is basically I did some damage onto the eye with the bow, and that's the leeway we have. I'm going to try and understab the first sigil by that amount specifically to still make it in one cycle. The problem is if I do too much damage, the sigil is going to die, and there's no one cycle. If I'm going to do too little damage, there's not going to be enough damage to do the one cycle. So one of those very, very precise things. And I think that should be alright.
The precision stab is, imagine like, sigils on a Colossus have their own individual health bars, and sometimes those overlap. And when you kind of hit a threshold and you completely destroy a sigil, a Colossus will go into cycle number 2, second cycle. Oh, one cycle, very nice. And basically, if you, at the overlap point, if you kill the sigil just before the overlap point, you essentially destroy the sigil's health bar enough for the second sigil to be destroyed, which kills the entire Colossi health bar, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense, but...
I mean, basically, it's about, you know, combining the damage you get onto the sigils and calculating it in a way where adding the eye damage, it's up to 100% health. It comes into play with phalanx later on as well, but in a less drastic way.
And next up we do have number 11, Celosia, who's a very simple little guy. So it's gonna revolve like a minor AI manip, where you're gonna trick Celosia into thinking that you don't actually have like the torch in your hand, which will make her charge into you and like accelerate the cutscene faster. But in the meantime, because it's nice and... Oh, IL strat, hello there. Nice, nice, nice. But in the meantime, I am just gonna read one more donation, if that's all Gucci. So we have a €20 donation from Jasp saying, "Thanks for being a good friend to us all. You will be sorely missed." Indeed. I wholeheartedly agree. Yeah. Yeah, Theo was in fact a runner of the Last Guardian, and he was quickly nested his way into our community and our hearts, really. His progress was quick, and his passion and love for the game was far greater than anyone else's. He used to always post, like, Last Guardian art in the art channel almost daily, and he was always involved with so many conversations and community topics. He was... Yeah.
Just very passionate about the game.
Yeah.
With a lot of art, as you mentioned. Rest in peace. And yeah, with Celosia, I just did an advanced strategy with the AI manipulation, tricking Celosia into hitting the pillar, which is quite a precise strat, but I felt like trying it, and it worked out beautifully.
I didn't expect you to go for that strat, to be honest.
Me neither, but I just felt like it, so let's keep going, right?
Great, let's go. And speaking of things that are difficult, hey, Pelagia, hello, honey. So Pelagia is another one where we have a precision stab and a small kind of AI manip regarding to the arrows we're going to shoot. So TikTak's going to shoot arrow at her face at 2 seconds and 5 or 6 seconds. There we go. And that's going to make Pelagia bow her head just far down enough that TikTak can do a very precise jump. There we go, and get onto her very quickly. She's going to do some animations. He's going to cancel the animation. And she's going to be very close to where you need her to be. So we know he only needs to do 2 swings of his sword onto her teeth. He's going to do an animation cancel here. So she's not going to shoot her lightning bolts, and she's going to rear straight up. He's going to go straight down. Now, Pelagia actually has one of the most precise stabs in the entire game. And if you're in the wrong position on the sigil, you will fail this, because you will get meme stabbed. So it requires full stab, 90%, and then 2 full stabs. If you got it right, she should... There we go, beautiful. Very, very difficult and precise trick.
Yeah, the important part is definitely the second step, because we are trying to not get the sigil halfway done. That way the animation only starts triggering on the third stab, and with the right timing that allows us to one cycle. It's one of those tricks where if you get the AI manipulation perfectly fine, like I just did, there's no RNG in it whatsoever, and just one of those skill checks. But this fight definitely can go very, very south very quickly.
Yeah. And bearing in mind, Pelagia's sigil is the most, like, finicky in the entire game. So the sigil you see on top does not match with the hitbox underneath it. So when Pelagia shakes, for example, the sigil can move underneath it, like the hitbox will move, which means you have to be in a very certain position on her belly in order to get those stabs in concurrently over and over. Because you can stab Pelagia and then the stab won't register after he shakes. It's a pain in the butt. And yeah, this is a lot of people's favorites. This is Phalanx, so switching to classic controls so they can get an auto aim. Very beautiful. Getting 3 arrow shots in straight away. Trying to do an IL strat, so Phalanx dip straight away. Which way are you gonna turn, buddy? Ooh. Are we dipping? Are we dipping? And Phalanx has another precision stab. IL. Beautiful. Look at Phalanx dip into that band. Oh, that's lush.
And if you noticed, Aggro also went on a wild ride there.
There she goes, there she goes. Oh. Wait, where's Aggro Cam when you need it? Is she still there? Where'd she go?
I think Aggro is just vibing.
Honey?
But yeah, this IL strat depends on a 50-50%.
Oh, she's down. She's okay. Oh, Aggro's fine. Aggro's fine.
Phalanx tends to steal aggro sometimes. Full-on kidnapping. But yeah, that was the IL strat of Phalanx. I'm very happy with this one. And it depends on a 50-50% chance of Phalanx going left, while I have to hit those arrows very precisely and quickly. So it's cool that I got to show it off at least once. We'll see if it happens again on the HTA, but that was very cool. And also here we also do the understabbing of the sigils. Since we do damage on the sacks we hit with the arrows, we get a little bit more damage off and are able to avoid barrel rolls by understabbing the first 2 sigils. So yeah, this run is very clean. Like, besides the Bass run reset so far, I'm very happy with this one.
It's impressive to also get a Celosia IL. And just the perfect Phalanx dip as well. Beautiful.
It's kind of funny how, like, when I'm under less stress, the runs tend to go a lot better. And, you know, you'd think a marathon run is more stress, but personally, since there's less, you know, dependency on the result...
Did you switch to 30?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, good.
You can explain it if you want.
Alright, so this is Zenobia, a lot of people's favorites as well. So this is one trick that's very specific to 30 FPS only. So usually, casually, you climb up all these pillars, aggro Zenobia, get her to knock them all down. Very slow, very time-consuming. However, there's this glitch you can do where you wedge yourself into a gap in the last pillar. And if you literally spam triangle or the jump button, then you will get a, what's called a super jump. So let's see if it gets it here. Spam that triangle, baby. And hold forward. There we go. Nice super jump.
I actually had to accelerate in the end there because the spamming wasn't enough.
Accelerate.
Super turbo.
Turbo controller? What? Running validated?
With a turbo controller, I'm not even sure if that would be much easier because there's also some timing to it. And I got the wacky jump.
Hey.
This is definitely one of the wackiest jumps just because it wasn't found for the longest time. And meanwhile, it was so obvious. In the background, there are some plateaus you can jump onto during the cutscene. And those weren't there in the OG version, so it was over a year till Wacky Wolf AO actually found this one. Inspired by a completely casual runner who mentioned it, so kind of a funny lore strategy behind it.
Lore strat, and you would have noticed, so Zenobia was still very angry after she hit the pillar. So usually after Zenobia hits the pillar, she kind of de-aggroes and just stands around and does nothing. So if you actually hit Zenobia with an arrow, like, during, like, just as the cutscene starts, as the pillar falls, she will maintain aggro and then chase you into this little, like, grotto. Which is faster than having to, like, call her over or shoot her down again.
Yo, Uso, no joke, I think this is PB pace.
Oh. Wait, Argosile. Argosile to come.
Well, I'm going to go for it. I'm under no pressure whatsoever. If I get the right setup, I will try for Variel. Let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Oops. Charity.
PG-13. You will have to shout time at me so that I do put time in as well, because obviously I have delay. So you have to say time and I'll, like, slap the timer.
Sure, so we're gonna, like, separate those categories, let's see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, no, we don't have to. Yeah, you can just do this by IGT, can't you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm...
Yeah, it's fine.
I will say time, you don't stop it, but just tell me what it was, because I'm interested.
Yeah, cool. And this is Argos, this is another cool dude that we're gonna do a very specific launch on. But also, you know how he has this sigil on his hand, and usually you have to, like, climb up all the way to the top of, like, these, the Colosseum and, like, do a bunch of stuff and make him drop the soup knife? Well, you don't actually have to do that, so you can just grab onto his leg, jump up again, do a little jump, and if you hold at just the right time, TikTak will get into Argus' hand. Beautiful stuff. Do a side jump. Ooh, unfortunate. Regrab, retry. Good save. That is fantastic.
The fun thing about the IL strategy is if you fail it but save it second try, you're not losing any time whatsoever.
Exactly. So that's the IL strat. So usually in the non-IL strat, you would jump back down to the floor and make Argus do a stomp animation again, which costs time. But in the IL strat, you just go straight to, like, the grabbable ledges on his leg, and you just do the launch straight away, because he'll start doing his movement animation, which is what you're looking for, which is where the type save comes from. That's incredible. What a backup.
And the idea is, if I didn't mistime the side jump a little bit, I could have launched instantly, which would save like 8 seconds compared to, you know, the usual save strategy.
That's impressive. You got a safe backup strat on Gaius as well.
But yeah, the only time losses were the Gaius and the Bassaran reset, which aren't even that bad.
And then we have Malice, the last guy. So Malice is pretty, like, simple in comparison to everyone else. It looks really cool, but it's actually a super beginner-friendly strat, and is actually probably a lot easier once you get it down than doing the intended strat. So what TikTak's going to do is going to run in a very specific path in order to avoid Malice's lightning bolts. So if you do this the same every time, you will always, like, get the skip, do a little jump, whistle, keep running, roll, beautiful stuff. So always taking this route will make it so that Malice's lightning bolts never hit you. There is a little bit of flexibility, like you can whistle, you can roll, to get past that, like, initial first jump, which is probably, like, I'd say the most important part of the run-up. But yeah, like, TikTak got it completely fine. No pitless surge.
And I'm going to go for early arrows, since this is technically PB pace probably. Or at least very close to it.
It could be. Which is also amazing, like, you're getting, like, a really, like, good time in a marathon setting is always, like, lovely and welcome. Which is the first run of the day as well, so we're actually very, very fortunate.
So the idea here is that I'm going to go for a different arrow timing than usual, which will make Malice start the animation a little earlier, but it involves a little bit of a riskier jump onto his hand. I'm going to do like a little strategy where I trigger his animation after stabbing his hand to be a little bit safer, but it's still a lot faster than the usual strategy of waiting.
That's good. Usually you shoot the arrow a bit higher, which gives you more time to kind of get up onto his arm raise. Beautiful. What a transition. And this saves, like, altogether you save, like, minutes on Malice. It's super impressive. Getting the plant. Now Malice will try and shake you off, but if you always full stab and you're completely, like, vertically down his sigil, that time. So you got 32 minutes and 2 or 3 seconds?
Unfortunate.
Close though, right?
It's very close. It's like within a minute or so.
For a no reset, that's incredible.
Well, it is, yeah, for sure. I'll definitely calculate it just out of curiosity. But that was a very, very cool run, and let's see about the HTA, shall we?
Oh yeah, so this isn't
Let's
the only
stop
shadow we're getting today. We have HTA, which is gonna throw this run probably on its side and make everything so much more worse than it needs to be.
Or I'll just record off of that.
Oh yeah, you're on fire right now, so just keep that going. Just keep that going through HTA. We'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Just gotta hope I can find the HTA save quickly to not go over estimate. Wait, where is it?
Look at all those chickens.
Okay, one of those, I think. This one, probably?
Speedrun and save files be like.
I'm not good at menuing.
Why would it be at the bottom?
I don't know. I don't know how these work. I also have to...
Bro.
Okay, I'm at modern Ramet. Okay. Anyway, let's continue. Hard mode. A lot more sigils, a lot more shaking, and a lot more pain. On Valis specifically, there is a second sigil on his arm, and all the sigils have a lot more health. What I'm going to be trying to do is get a little bit of extra damage on the foot to be able to slash the second sigil. Let's see if that'll work out. A little bit of an iffy jump up, but I grabbed the thing.
Beautiful. Nice,
which is definitely good enough for a marathon setting. And what I'm trying to do here is avoid a plant. Obviously, I didn't want to shake here, but avoiding a plant is actually faster because you get to stab one after another in a more, continuous manner compared to a plant. Which is one of the rare instances where that actually makes a difference.
So in hard mode, Colossus will actually have, it will do more damage to you, and also it will often have extra sigil or sigils, which means, stamina and how that drains, really bad. Bad enough in your normal playthrough. Now imagine having to manage that stamina with an extra sigil to deal with. And then you just get hard mode, which is why it gets so hard, because you're trying to do everything as fast as possible, and look at that stamina, it's just draining. So you have a very small time window to get what you need done, and that's actually a really good balance.
Yeah, the only little issue was that I didn't get onto the face quite as far up as I wanted to be, but it worked out with the extra damage onto the weak point. I was able to slash a stab early, basically. Which makes a difference of another 5 seconds or so.
Perfect stuff. And Quadratus is going to have an extra sigil on his side as well that has to be taken care of.
Yeah, and here I'm going to try something similar, because on HTA Quad, all of the sigils are just barely above 4 stabs in health. And if I just deal a bit of extra damage onto a random spot, it might help me save a stab. Which is quite a weird thing, because you don't even see the damage applied, but it's a sliver of health that's missing. I got shaken out of it, so never mind.
I'll internet be like, hold on, just need to reload. Don't worry, guys.
And here's the extra sigil here. I'm going for 4.5 stabs. And after that, I'm trying to do a little strategy where, due to the fact that Quad is moving forward, I can just re-grab a couple times, and then Wander just magically teleports himself where I need him to be. It looks like a lot of spamming, but there's also some rhythm to it. If you do it too fast or too slowly or in a wrong timing, it won't actually work. But here it worked out pretty well. Another few cycle stabs on the back sigil, leaving us with just the head, where I'm going to try to go for a plant, which wasn't necessary on the up jump version, but here on HTA definitely saves. Well, didn't get it, maybe with the back up. This actually looks not too bad. Yeah, got the back up, which will kill Quad. And still a fairly quick timing. This level of health I could have saved with that extra damage, but nothing too crazy.
Sorry for that issue. I literally just opened Discord DMs because I got something, and then the video was like, I'm not gonna work anymore. Yeah, luckily I have I'm window capturing like everyone else's gameplay, so sometimes I'll get like an occasional error message from my browser, so I just have to work around that, unfortunately. Yeah, unfortunately reloading it will take like 15-20 seconds as well, so I'm really sorry we didn't get to see that quad. But it's fine, it's fine. Just pretend everything's normal.
HTA quad is boring anyway. Let's keep going. So Gaius, can I do it 2 for 2?
Yeah, HTA Gaius be like, hello?
It's like everything you saw on NTA, but it's a lot worse because if I just mess up once, it's going to be pain. Because the thing is, the head sigil needs 5 stabs here, which is just about enough to do them and run back before the shakes start with a perfect plant. So if you don't get that, it can be quite painful to run.
So again, he's gonna be doing the Gaius launch. Very precise jump to get to the head. Wait, you're going to the head first, aren't you? Or are you going to waist first?
No, I'm going to head first. Waist first is technically faster, but it's something I haven't practiced enough.
Okay, I was gonna say, like, what is hard mode again?
So there is this strategy with waist first that Odawara started doing on NTA, and on HTA it's also a lot faster with a little bit of a stretch sheet. Wow. Thank you, Gaius. So what can happen sometimes is if you get the plant too far back, is that, you know, stabs won't hit quite in the same way they should. And since I'm now at the shaky part of things, all my timings are messed up, so
yeah.
Let's hope for the best. I'm going to go for a safe strategy here, which is going to his other shoulder to trigger an animation. Because otherwise, if I jumped, it would basically be up to RNG if I land there or fall off, which I'm not quite willing to take. But with this little animation, I can safely jump here and potentially even do it in a faster manner if I'm a bit lucky. Nah, not quite. But it's fine.
So standing on certain parts of colossi bodies make them do different kinds of shake animations. And say, you know, if you stand on one, like the left shoulder, they start shaking their left shoulder, that can mean that the right shoulder's open to taking damage. The same goes for Gaius with his, you know, both his arms. So now TikTak's free to stab away at Gaius' left arm. By having tricked Gaius into thinking that Wanda's actually, like, on his sword arm. And now back to belly stabs, and yeah, like, each sigil's gonna take a lot more, like, stabs to kill off as well. Which also makes hard mode just a complete nightmare. You're gonna see, like, if you ever check the leaderboards, HTA and, like, hard mode in general has a lot less runs than, normal mode and NTA.
I challenge everyone in chat to submit a run to hard mode. Because it's actually a lot of fun and makes you a lot better at the game, because there's just so much more depth to it. I personally enjoy it, but it's obviously painful when you're starting out with it, because there's so much more stuff that you can fail. But hey, it's fun.
It's not that deep, bro. Literally playing hard mode right now. It really is deep. And hard mode Phaedra, which is basically...
It's basically like NTA Phaedra, but you get 2 more chances to fall off like an idiot. Pretty much.
We're talking like a whole 2 chances, because you gotta go to both her shoulders and then like go between the 2 and go to the head. And Phaedra is quite the shaker, we'll have you know.
So since I didn't quite manage to do the side jump, I'm going to go for a backup, which is like the safer strat that most people go for, unless you're going for world record. It's not necessary to really do this side launch.
Hey, we get to showcase both the jumps though, which is very cool.
Yeah. So, hard mode Phaedra, you get these shoulder sigils, which are quite weird to handle. Because basically, While many sigils have a way bigger hitbox, these are a bit smaller even, so you can hit the sigil, but sometimes it's still not hitting the sigil. And since it's like a very shaky spot, it can be a little iffy sometimes. What I usually do to have a safer way of doing them is just grab on and rearrange myself slowly but surely. Because even though it looks slow, just re-grabbing usually leads you to grab the wrong spot and is a lot more risky than it should be.
And you can see Phaedra constantly roaring up and moving around as well, like she's really trying to get you off.
Yeah, there is kind of a way to get a plant-ish thing on these, but it's not a consistent one.
And again, look at that stamina, it's blinking and draining really quick, and he's still got an entire sigil left to do.
You know, the game isn't fun enough unless the stamina is blinking and you're doing fast tricks.
The game's not fun unless you're close to failing.
Yeah, living on the edge.
There we go. And again, just stabbing the head sigil like normal.
Yeah, I don't even know how many stabs this one takes.
It takes an amount.
An amount, for sure. Like, definitely more than 3. Feels like 8 or something, or 9.
Yeah.
So yeah, a little bit more, you know, rough around the edges, but that's what you'd expect from HTA.
And during this quick little death spaghetti break, just want to say that we are raising money for the Fight the Stroke Foundation. Fight the Stroke believes in the opportunity to offer a dignified life to those who experienced a major trauma as a brain injury at birth or at a young age, so they can look up opportunities and strengths in areas for improvement, and also believes that the role in family is a critical success factor for rehabilitation and post-trauma care process. Again, Fight the Foundation is offering... Oh, sorry, I think my mic might have, like, bleeped out. Can you hear me, right?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Okay, good.
It just stopped mid-sentence earlier.
Okay, cool. Right, I don't know where it paused on, so we're just gonna be like, yeah. So back to Avion as well.
Yeah, on HTA this one is quite a tricky one because of stamina, which basically means you could go for a wing drop, but if you did, you most of the time will fall unless you did it perfectly. I definitely recommend watching Stormglad's world record IL on that one because you can just feel the pressure. He makes it back onto the tail with 0 stamina, like literally 0. So we're going to try and do it in a more safe way. You could claim a little bit more boring, but honestly not falling off on Avion is already quite the achievement, especially on HTA. And here I'm basically hoping for a wing down, but it's obviously wing up. So I'm going to try to go for a strategy which is a little faster if it works, where I'm going to try to boost myself directly to the tail. And if I do it quick enough, I'm able to potentially get back to the other wing quickly. But it's a very tight timing, which Theo actually worked on that one a lot and got very good at it. I'm still not quite as good, but I think this could work out if I'm just zooming back. Here there's also a very cool trick that I can recommend everyone, which is basically when you're walking back on Avion, you can just keep weapon switching, and that will, avoid the slowdown which you get from the wind, which is very useful for things like these, because that way you can get back in time and do this in 1:54, which is perfectly nice for an HTA Avion.
Yeah.
Didn't fall off any Avions. This is already good marathon runs for me.
Avion do be dry. And again, shout outs to Video13, who's actually in the chat right now. Thank you so much for your developments on the run. But damn, no falling off of Avion in 2 runs back to back. Hello?
Yeah, as well as 2 Geist launches in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Are so good.
Are you gonna do like the swag strat for Barber?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. So basically on NTA you saw the launch from the right arm, from Barba's right arm. But in HTA, Barba has a sigil on the left arm hand. And what I can try and do there is do the hand first, which is very, very precise, jump-wise, as precise as it gets, but which will be allow me to do that sigil first, and if I do everything perfectly, even launch off of that arm. Though I can't really promise that one, since that's very advanced and difficult. I remember actually working on that hand first strategy for ages, and it's actually Wacky who gave me like an idea on how to make this work. And even then I found a way to do it. It was still very hard because it's a very specific angle and timing to it. So very, very cool strat though. And not quite. So here I could have jumped off of the hand back to the head directly, but no worries. I'll just do the usual strat, and that's just fine.
Yeah. And luckily, Barber actually doing that stomp animation, allowing you to get into his fingers and then back onto his beard.
Yeah, it's very important on where you position yourself for that animation. I usually use the line as a reference to avoid awkward encounters with Barber just stepping around, which can happen sometimes. You can lose a lot of time on this Colossus, and thank God we have hand first. Without hand first, this used to be a lot more of a nightmare, at least. When I was running it, it felt that way. I know some people still prefer it the other way and go to the hand sigil last, but it's, you know, the drop to the hand is quite scary, so I prefer it that way for sure.
Yeah.
And another slash to finish off.
Very nice. Also, one thing to know in HTA is, like, you have the chance to kill a Colossus with a stab more often than not. I think it's like the way the health bars are, like, a lot of times you're gonna have just a sliver of health left, no matter what, and you can just whoosh, stab, and it'll die.
Yeah, the slashes are definitely more prevalent, you know,
Oh look, he teleported
there.
again.
Yeah, he teleported again because
Twice
of the
in a
slash.
row? Yikes.
Barber do be teleporting.
You really do be like that, though. You really do.
And with Hydras, it's basically more of the same, like in the NTA run, with one big difference, which is the fact that if I did all the jump stabs in a row, like on NTA, Wonder would just die, and we don't want that. And which means I will have to kill the horn thing in between the stabs, and then do the jump stabs in a different manner, which is a little bit harder since the positioning is more precise. But usually, if I do it perfectly fine, there shouldn't be too much of a difference just run-wise.
Yeah, the damage you take from Hydrus and the electricity is deadly. Like, you cannot just simply one-cycle her like you can in NTA. You actually have to take out that node, as TikTak said.
Yeah, I basically have enough health to do 2 jump stabs here.
And you have to hit those 2 jump stabs as well.
Yeah, and now I'm going to be a bit more safe here and do this one normally, because if I miss that jump stab, I'm literally dead. And now, as you can maybe see, I'm doing these jump stabs from farther back, because otherwise there is a trigger on Hydras, which makes it impossible to jump stab due to the head bobs.
Yeah, like, she'll bob her head, like, vigorously up and down, which I'm sure if you played this game before, you would have definitely experienced the aggressive head bobbing. Which makes it, like, even if you try and walk to the sigil, she'll just dip underwater and dip back up again. And of course, once you take out that, like, electricity node, she's on a timer before she goes back down into the water, and I think it's 30 seconds? 20-30 seconds until she goes back into the water?
It feels like days. So, a reset is actually faster in waiting that out, usually.
Yeah, that's 2 Hydrus skips and no resets on Hydrus.
Yep.
Hydrus being one of the more horrible Colossi to fight, definitely take it.
Yeah. Also, guys, remember Kuro, the easy one last time where we didn't mention much about it? On hard mode, it's painful because the stabs you have to do are more than doubled, which means you have to cycle stab like very quickly. Was almost about to swear, but you get my idea.
But yeah, so you have pretty much like the same amount of time as you do in NTA to do double the stabs. So you have to really like decimate that health bar as quick as you can. So again, whistling to catch her attention because she locates you by sound as well as sight. And if she can only hear you, she'll go to where she last heard you. So gonna wait till she goes to the very top of the arena to buy as much time as possible. The further Kuro falls, the longer she stays down for.
Oh god, no. Okay.
Thinking you have to get on top there as soon as possible. Very precious
So-
seconds being wasted.
Yeah, sometimes Wander's magnet hands don't want to do the thing.
Don't want to magnet, yeah.
So this could already be very close. Sometimes you could get a meme stab, which hopefully won't happen this time, because that would basically kill a one cycle. This way it's only going to be very, very scary. If I had to guess, the last step will probably be wow. Wow, thank you. Okay, now I think this might be not quick enough anymore. We'll see.
How did that? Ooh.
Yeah, you're like 60. This is a 60 only thing.
Yo, 60.
I still got it though.
Yahoo! GG.
This was basically the last possible second
Oh
I
my
could have
goodness,
gotten
she was
one
about
cycle
to
in.
crush you.
Oh Jesus.
Oh, just a Kuro thing.
One big advice for anyone who's learning the one cycle: just keep stabbing. No matter how scary it is, just keep stabbing. Because going for a backup isn't going to be worth it anyway.
And one thing to note as well, if you're unfamiliar with the run, you may be wondering how come TikTak was able to stab the first sigil so quickly but not the second sigil. Well, cycle stabs only work when you're kind of on like an upward slope on the Colossus, and you have to let go, re-grab, kind of like hit a bump, and then that allows you to avoid doing the pull-out animation on the sword and allows you to charge back up right away. So you can put your sword away, and then if you charge your stab with like your sword not in your hand, you actually charge your stab like a little bit faster. And again, Bassaran's pretty much the same, just got more health.
So yeah, I tried for the jump stab again, but got a little cool backup, which
Nice.
will be slower, but I tried.
That's cheeky.
And then that's more of the same, besides the fact that plants are a lot more important on HTA.
But plants on 60 FPS on Bassaran are a bit,
Yeah, it's a bit of a random one. Sometimes you feel like you have a plant, but then all of a sudden it's not anymore.
Yeah.
Sometimes it really feels like an illusion, and plants are just random. But here it seems to work out fairly well, despite the little issue
Nice now.
on the stabs at first.
Yeah, because plants are supposed to be like, oh, no matter how hard a Colossus shakes you, you should be able to never get shaken. Apart from if you're Bassaran, then you can get shaken out of a plant very easily. But actually, like, getting a consistent plant on HTA, very good.
So,
And then
yeah.
Dirge's one cycle is actually going to be easier for us on HTA.
Yeah, that's due to the fact that there's more stabs, so you have an easier time adjusting an individual stab towards the health total. So instead of 2.3-ish stabs, this one will be like a 4.7.
And is it just, like, in general, a little bit less precise?
Yeah, the hardest one cycle is actually on easy mode. There, it's like the least leeway, which is kind of bizarre when doing easy mode runs on any percent, because everything feels so nice and comfortable until you get to Dirge and, you know, all of a sudden it's not as comfy anymore. But yeah, another low arrow to set up the stun.
Also getting the arrow shot again as well.
Yep.
Good.
That arrow shot is actually something that pretty much only I do. I start aiming onto the nose of Dirge and then aim right while shooting. It's a very, very bizarre way of doing it. And that one actually was found and softly by Wacky. I overstepped though. Wow. This is what I get for talking and not paying attention, but it's
Ooh.
fine. I'm gonna back that up really quick.
So we're just demonstrating right now what happens if you don't get the one cycle and how much time you actually do save by doing the one cycle.
Yeah, so the issue was it's more of a 4.7 and I did more of a 4.9. So even though it's less precise and more leeway in some ways, it can give you the full sense of security.
I was gonna say the particle effects looked a bit weird there for a second. Wait,
Yeah,
oh, there she
they're
is.
just being weird, and I'm being bad at aiming. Once the speedrunners get out of their comfort zone and start doing freestyle, this is where you see how bad my aim actually is in this game.
The casual gamer in you is just not like performing that well.
Yeah, that's the thing. With speedrunning, it's not like my aim is great. My aim is just good in a very, very precise scenario, And then I guess I have a little bit of an idea of where to aim, but it's not like I'm hitting it a lot easier.
Mm-hmm. You see, when TikTak aims that first time, it's just muscle memory, whereas like actually like aiming.
Yeah, it's a different thing, yeah.
So luckily we can just, get to the second sigil and just stab away.
Yeah, the first NTA run was good enough that now I can allow myself to mess up a little bit.
Yeah, because you're gonna keep yourself within the boundary of the estimated time. Woo!
Yeah, the estimate you set up at first was very generous, so I told you to, make it more strict, and then you just made it as strict as possible, so now it's actually kind of rough.
We have a that's rough buddy moment.
But yeah, a little bit of pressure doesn't hurt.
So yeah, just for let you all know, the estimate is 1 hour and 25 minutes for both HTA and NTA back to back.
So I think I'm going to try the yell strategy on Solosia again, just because it worked so well last time. I want to, push my luck a little.
And luckily all the small colossi, they have the same. They only have one sigil, because there's only really space for one sigil, they just have to be stabbed a lot more. Oh, not
yeah, it's 3 stabs compared to 2. And the IL strategy here, it is consistent, but also very, very precise. And the issue there was I accidentally weapon switched before getting into the pit, which messed my timing up a little bit, but it's not a big deal. It was cool to try. The last guard.
The last guard. I thought be like, yo, what a rebel.
That's totally not me who messed up with copy and paste.
I gave you one job.
I'm sorry. And the triple jump stab to finish this one off.
Hey, yo, nice. Yeah, jump stabs, they look easy, but when you first try to like learn how to do them like optimally, they do yeah, you can get knocked off, you can go flying, you can just not hit them. Yeah, jump stabs can be hard to learn.
Yeah, but on Slowsay, it's actually one of those things where once you know the specific point to jump off, the jump stab makes it a lot easier because you don't need a plant whatsoever. Alrighty, and now to the pinnacle of RNG and pain. HTA Pelagia. It's the one Colossus that will destroy your dreams and take, all your happiness. There's just pain left after this one.
You can't cycle Pelagia, you have to 2-cycle her. And sometimes it turns into a 3-cycle.
Or a 4-cycle.
Or, a never.
Another one and another one. Because, the setup I'm doing here is the same one as on NTA and it works for the first part. But on the second part, it's basically a free-for-all once more, and none of the animations are consistent, which means potentially pain. Mm-hmm. The idea here is to go for 4 very, very quick stabs. If that first stab is late, you won't get a 2-cycle, and I think this one should be fine. And once you get to 4 stabs out, you jump off. And the idea here is to jump back onto Pelagia's head during the cutscene, which is where one major RNG moment already occurs, which is basically during this cutscene, Pelagia can turn left, right, and Wander can also just fall off because I have no control of him, like just now. So there's no turning, Wander just flopped off right there.
Oh, the floppy.
Which already is a time loss of like 15 to 20 seconds or so, because you have to get back up. Not even speaking of the horrors that is navigating Pelagia to the next gazebo. And, even if Wander stayed on, there was still the chance of Wander flopping off during all of that animation because you have no control. It would be very cool if you could just, grab button. Then it wouldn't be as scary. But here sometimes it looks like everything is going alright and then Wander just stumbles off in the last possible moment.
Yeah.
And all of that, as if that wasn't enough of RNG, the second part is going to that gazebo and praying that Pelagia wants to, do the animation. Which again is like very precise positioning, and due to the fact there's so much variance on the between parts, there's no guarantee you're going to get the animation. But I got it this time, so Pelagia misbehaved on the first one, but behaved on the second one. I'll call that a win. I'll call that a win. And now it's just 3 more stabs to finish this one.
3 nice, simple, calm, easy stabs.
Yeah, a 216 is perfectly fine, especially for a marathon run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it can go a lot worse.
I feel like getting a 2-cycle hard Pelagia is just a success in itself, really.
But in the same way, having that little bit of, I guess, nerve-wracking energy of having that perfect run, and then you get to Pelagia on HTA, where everything can just go wrong without any of your fault. That's what HTA is all about. Imagine on hard any percent, where we didn't even... We used to not have the setup that we have on IL. That setup made it a lot better, but before that, there was even RNG involved on the initial gazebo.
Yeah.
Which is just pain.
Yeah, the run's come a long way, quite a long way.
Yeah, there was a lot of optimization on hard mode, mostly done by me, but even done by Sean, for example, when he started running it more.
Mm-hmm. Shoutouts to Inception.
Yep.
And Phalanx, again, changing to classic controls, because you can actually auto-aim towards a Colossus on classic, which makes getting the fast arrow shots in way, way easier. And
not even necessarily easier, but just more comfortable because I'm used to it.
Yeah.
And
did Sean used to do it on Modern Remapped?
He did on Modern. He played only on Modern.
Oh.
He was one of those mad lads.
Dude. Yo,
also,
actually dipping. She's dipping?
Yep.
Honey? Oh, nice.
And Agro once more did the thing.
Yo, that's 2 Phalanx ILs back to back.
That's more luck than I usually get in my runs, I'm going to be honest. Because it's basically, from what we can tell, a 50-50. But it always feels like it's only a 50-50 until your run is on pace.
Mm-hmm.
Then all of a sudden it's not. But even showing it off once in a marathon setting is amazing. Yeah. Twice in a row is just unheard of.
The RNG boys.
And here the difference is basically I'm doing 2.7 stabs.
Yeah, and the stabs are a lot more precise as well. You have to do 2.7, because on normal you can do it feels like 1.8 to 1.9, and it's a big 1.8 to 1.9.
So yeah,
that's a great Phalanx.
That one definitely went well.
Yeah, I'm so surprised you got such a amazing setup both times. And Aggro Road Phalanx again, yes.
Yeah, that's when your run-up is consistent. When things like that happen twice. There's actually a funny Twitch clip on my channel where I failed that jump, but Aggro still got onto Phalanx, and then Phalanx just goes away with Aggro on top, and I'm just there. I can't even back up anymore. Aggro is gone. Kidnapped by Phalanx. So yeah, a lot of things can go very, very.
Yeah.
Let's say it's amusing at
Yeah.
times.
We gotta love the memes. And Zenobia is gonna be pretty much the same, so I'm gonna use this opportunity again to plug what we're doing here just a little bit more. So reminder, this is Theothon, a speedrun charity livestream created by Team ICO Speedruns in honor of our beloved community member Theo, who passed away in July this year. Theo went above and beyond with his kindness to us all, and so to better represent that spirit he left behind, we have decided to raise money for the Fight the Stroke Foundation to help improve the lives of young stroke survivors, so less children have to fight through what Theo did.
Okay, let's see about that super jump. That one was a lot more comfy.
It was a jump.
It was a jump.
We jumped.
We jumping.
We jumping. Well, we heckin' jumping though. My cat's like lying on the sofa with his like leg just stretched out over the edge. He looks very soft. Squishy. Good boy.
That sounds very comfy.
Yeah, it's good. The stream is comfy until the cat decides to jump on the desk and then like destroy my layout. It will happen. It will happen.
Unfortunate. So here, since I messed up the wacky jump a little bit, you got to see what it looks like during the cutscene, as I did the backup. But not too tragic.
So yeah, that's what you do during the cutscene, but obviously with different like movements because of the camera angle.
Are you keeping track of how many resets I got this run?
No.
I think it was just one so far.
You reset on Bassaran NTA once. That was it. Wasn't it? Yeah.
That's
Because every other
crazy.
Colossus you actually got like a backup strat on.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, only one reset so far? Nice.
Because, usually the runners always say, each reset or whatever, I'm going to donate to charity.
But if you only have one reset, it's kind of like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess I'm just going to donate a flat amount.
Yeah.
Later on.
Probably best.
Okay, decent. Zenobia, 146. Nothing too bad.
And the Argus is going to be a little bit more terrifying than he was before.
Yeah, it's a little bit different, but actually in a way also a little bit more calming with the fact that I can't even go for like one cycle like on NTA. So I can do it a little bit more comfortably. Well, it's basically the same idea besides the fact that there is another sigil on the chest, which is a big pain if you're not used to stabbing this one. Because
frames. Oh, looks so good. Like whenever you go from 60 to 30, it just looks like you're going into like PowerPoint presentation mode.
yeah, and I swear to God, it's not as bad on an actual PS4. It's a lot worse on a PS5 or PS4 Pro to do that switch. So here, since we have to do 2 stabs on this one, or like 1.5, you can't quite do the fancy transitions. I'm going to stay on a little longer just to get this one safely. You can do a little bit of a quicker one, but it's less safe, and there I shook, so it didn't fell.
Yeah, like you want Argus to stand still so that you have enough time to like set yourself up for the side jump launch. So jump, jump. There we go, beautiful.
Yeah, and now you have 4.5 stabs on the head, and then we'll see how I can handle the chest sigil, which, if you do it perfectly, it's, you can actually slash that one, but it's also quite risky to do.
Yeah, and again, this is another example of a sigil's hitbox going far beyond where the actual sigil is on the head. Yeah, and Argus is gonna do big shaky shakes if he messes up.
So, for anyone who's trying hard mode for the first time, what I can recommend for this sigil is just always switch to hand and position yourself in the middle. Try to avoid this shake. But sometimes you can't, and then it's, it's a time loss, but something to expect. So as long as you get your stabs in when you get the chance, it's usually fine. And sometimes if you go for those half or 3/4 of a stab, it's also perfectly fine. All right.
Yeah, luckily no falling off this HTA Argus, which is on this last sigil, it is a very big possibility.
Yeah, it's important to keep the stabs going, pretty much, to not get into.
And it's pretty funny, like, the game assumes that the knife shouldn't be in Argus's hand during his death, so if you just kind of watch, like, his soup knife hand during the death animation, you saw it was kind of floating behind his hand. That's also pretty funny to note. Just wanted to point that out. I'm actually coming to the final Colossus here, which will mark the end of this NTA HTA back-to-back run.
You didn't talk too much about the history of myself with this Colossus last time, but there has been quite a few memes of me just always failing this one on good runs, which is why there's a term called getting tic-tacked, when you just fail a speedrun right at the end in a painful manner. So hopefully no soft locks this time.
I probably shouldn't have mentioned it. You might jinx it.
It's fine.
And again, just shout time in my ear once you finish.
Sure. Just running past those asteroids. Once you get good at the skip, usually doesn't go wrong.
Yeah.
Unless it's a world record pace run of mine.
And then it goes wrong.
But it's not too bad. It's actually easier than doing the intended way.
Oh yeah, we do not like intended malice. Intended malice is an old boy.
It's quite painful, yeah. So, and I guess why not? I'll try the arrow again, because that sometimes led to quite funny moments. So if I meme myself, at least it would be fun and for charity. Using my power.
What if we soft lock for charity? Haha, just kidding. Unless.
Soft lock for charity. Get launched into space for charity.
Exactly. Thunderbirds, I'll go.
I mean, it happened before on a marathon run as well. In one of those very, very big races. Which
wasn't it on Velocity where it happened? Where you just got yeeted very, very high up?
Yeah, I think it might be Velocity, yep. Where instead of getting like second or third place, I got last due to that. Which is kind of funny. But I've come a long way since then, and my malice has gotten a lot better, forcefully. I guess because I got tired of people laughing at my memes.
Right, so time is going to be coming up.
All in good fun, of course. Time.
Beautiful. So again, there is timer delay. So I started the timer when TikTak said to start, and then ended it when he said to end. So your run was completed in 1 hour, 15 minutes, and 42 seconds. How about that?
That's hella solid. I'm very happy.
10 minutes underestimate as well. And you told me to lower the estimate as well.
I mean, the 125 is a very crazy estimate, to be fair. That's like, you think about it, let's say 40-minute boss rush NTA feels very solid. And then how much is there left after that? Like 45 minutes. Anyway, that went very well. I'm very happy, and
that was such a solid run. I'm proud of you, buddy.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we've actually, me and you have got some, like, beef. We need to race it off as well, don't we?
Oh, God. I guess it's time.
we got enough beef to make some burgers for you all in chat. Right, and we're nice and ahead of schedule, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to an intermission, and we're going to set up for the next run, which is going to be Pray for the Gods any percent race by me and TikTak, so stay tuned for that.
See you in a bit.